What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Welcome to another episode of the Intrepidation Nation podcast. I want to thank everybody for showing up if they could, and for the live podcast. I want to welcome Tech Gladiator with me. Let's get down to that.
Oh, reach!
And Jason the Red Hair. What's up, Jason? Absolutely. If you don't know what the Intrepidation Nation podcast is, it's a weekly podcast. YouTube, welcome to another episode of the Intrepidation Nation. Wow. Did not know that was going on. I want to thank everybody for showing up.
What was going on?
Apparently the preview screen, I forgot to mute it. So it's coming through double feed on the OBS.
Oh.
No big deal, no big deal.
No worries.
All right.
Professionals here with 15 years of experience or anything.
It's all good.
Right.
But if you didn't know what the
experience.
if you didn't know what the Intrepidation Nation podcast, that's where a group of friends come together, each with one topic, and we discuss it out for your amusement. So, who's got a topic and who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Jason.
Go ahead.
Well, apparently in DC Comics, the Joker might have a new origin story.
Oh, really?
Being kind of immortal. Where he's been around for a long time, even before Gotham City's been around.
Interesting.
They don't know if this will be a full-time thing or what, but what's anybody think about it?
We'll have to wait and see whether or not they make it like real, like because they've done like Joker's origin before, and then it turned out like it wasn't really for sure, you know, if they knew it was true or not. So it could either be official or they might reveal later, like, nope, Joker was just making shit up again. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of it.
Do you think the Joker needs an actual real-life origin? Hi, his name was Bob. He was born somewhere, and this is how he became fucked up and crazy and this and that? Or do you think he should always be somewhat of a mystery?
It's hard to say because in some ways you want to know, you know, like where did he really come from? But at the same time, that mystery lets you work with your own imagination and try to think where he came from. In the show Gotham, it almost seems like they're trying to do an origin for him, but at the same time, they're kind of being almost vague with that too, because they had two like kind of episodes back to back that were related to Joker's origins. One about the Red Hood gang and everything, that could have maybe introduced somebody as possible future Joker there. But the episode before that, they had the circus that introduced Dick Grayson's parents, that also had this redheaded kid that at the end was very, very Joker-ish in his demeanor and personality and everything. Like he was all of a sudden crying, and then he started like going, you know, and just talking like the Joker, you know.
Well, then they had the failed comedian at the first episode.
Right, that's right, that too. And in a way that in The Killing Joke, that was kind of a reference to the Joker's background too, that he was like somebody who was trying to be a comedian and it wasn't working out for him and stuff.
Now, does this go back further than the Red Hood? Is the Red Hood still part of the origin story, and this is just going further beyond that?
I mean, he could have started off as somebody else, went to the Red Hood, then became the Joker.
Yeah, it could very well be. I didn't know if it was like that, or if we're treating the New 52 universe kind of like the Ultimate Universe in Marvel, where it's not the actual canon universe, it's just a different universe altogether.
Well, this is supposed to be part of the New 52.
And even if the New 52 origins change, that doesn't mean like that the old DC Universe origin may not have changed for all we know. But it doesn't. Of course, I guess it doesn't matter because the old DC Universe doesn't even exist, you know, apparently anymore.
Right. No, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with over at DC, because for a long time, I mean, you've got to find a way to make the old characters seem fresh, and I would rather them see them add something that's kind of before the role of the Red Hood, as opposed to just changing it entirely. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And doing the immortal thing doesn't necessarily take away from the other things we already know, because maybe even though him being immortal, maybe he was something else before he was Joker. Maybe he was something else before he was even the Red Hood.
Well, if he's immortal, maybe he was acquaintances with Ra's al Ghul and part of the League of Assassins prior to whatever's going on now. Maybe it has something to do with the what's the pool, the pit, the
Lazarus Pit.
The Lazarus Pit. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of thought that maybe whatever he has going on is more internally, but similar to like Ra's al Ghul or like even Solomon Grundy.
There you go. Maybe. It's something to think about. Go ahead, Tech. I think I lost Tech Gladiator. No, we can't lose you, Tech. Come back, please. Unfortunately, if I lose Tech Gladiator, that means I've lost Tech and Jason. They will be reconnecting here in just a second. I'm sure. There it is right now. Hey, Tech, what's up, man? I didn't mean to call Hirsch. Okay. That's what's going on there. Tech! Skype crashed on you? Oh, no problem. Hold on just a second. Somehow I'm getting 2 calls. Wow, technical difficulties. Let me hang up and call you back.
Okay.
Where's the other call? There it is. Sorry. Fix that, and we will call Tech Gladiator back. There we go. We're back up and running now, guys. I can't hear you too good, though. You're back to where I can't hear you. Did it switch mics on you?
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you. We
Yeah,
got you back.
I would use the Metro app because the Metro app doesn't crash on me, but I can't use the camera on it, and I can't switch to the mic on it.
That's so lame.
I know.
Windows, fix your
might-
shit.
Yeah. Right. I might have to do the update on Skype. Maybe that fixes all the crashes because I don't understand why
I
it's
just
crashing.
somehow picture Tech with a wrench and a 9/16 out there, and I gotta manually turn this thing around. Well, the fuck's a 19/16 wrench, huh? What?
Do we have any comments going on at this time?
No, we don't.
So no comments on the Joker. Okay.
Well, Jason was actually saying something when we got crashed.
Okay, go ahead, Jason.
Jason's better at resuming his train of thought than I am, usually. Uh-oh, I'm getting some signal issues with Jason. No!
I'm here.
Oh, there he is. Okay, I hear you now.
All right.
Okay.
What were your thoughts before we got disconnected, Jason?
I don't even know what I was saying.
We were talking about the Joker, and you had some other comments on that.
Nope, don't remember a thing.
Damn it!
That's how my mind is.
And see, I just said you were better at keeping your train of thought than I was.
Tech lied. He lied.
I lied. I lied.
My thing is, I hope they never fully give his origin up.
Oh, but what about?
Origin,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. They never should. They never really should really tell where he fully came from.
You
But
never go full retard.
But what about something else too, along with that too, about how the Joker may have orchestrated Jason Todd becoming a Robin in the first place and everything?
I think it kind of stopped that in the New 52.
Oh, you think they've just forgot all about that kind of?
Yeah, because it seems to me a little bit different Joker on the New 52 than the previous, where Jason Todd seems to be the same kid, except now with black hair instead of red.
They,
Of course, he could be dyeing his hair black.
true, right? He could be. Or DC may have just turned against gingers. Also.
I think they have. I think DC's anti-ginger, and law passed on anti-ginger acts.
So are you going to become a Marvel fan now, Jason?
No.
No.
There's certain Marvel characters though that you like, Jason, even though you're more of a DC guy.
There are a lot of Marvel characters I do like, but then there's a lot of things about Marvel I just roll my eyes at and think, do they really have to base a whole line of comics on mediocre characters?
Right. I don't think they're mediocre. I think they're over the top. I think they're more relatable than. That's up to debate, though. I mean, I just find them more relatable than the DC characters.
Quasar.
Oh yeah, he's not. You thought he was talking about the X-Men, didn't you, Stan?
No, I mean in general. I mean,
Top-notch characters in X-Men, but they seem to really pull up them bottom-feeding X-Men characters and really shove them up there. And sometimes it does work. I'll give them that.
But yeah, Quasar. Like, who really cares about Quasar? Like you said.
right. But it seems like in the DC universe, you were either born with money,
That comes out.
with a little bit of tragedy, or you were born with godlike powers. Whereas Marvel, it's more like everybody is an average Joe until shit hits the fan and something happens to them, and then they're not average Joes anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
the thing is, Marvel doesn't have that many characters without any power at all.
Except for Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
His suit is his power. He doesn't.
Like I said, Marvel doesn't have that many characters.
Oh, that many. Right.
Hank Pym.
You can,
He was Ant-Man because of the device. I mean, it wasn't like a.
Yeah, although it kind of gives him a power, but it's an artificial, scientifically induced
yeah, but
power.
I mean, my point is you guys got two, and you have to really dig at them. And
Right.
where you go with DC, and you just say Batman family.
Because none of them have powers,
Yeah,
right?
there's
In
a
the Batman
whole bunch of
film.
people.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. What about Nick Fury though?
No,
What about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
and again, Nick Fury's a good character. Wilhelm is kind of that low-rung character who supporting cast.
But see, the thing with Marvel though too is that their supporting casts, like a lot of characters rely on their supporting cast too to, like
DC
Spider-Man, Hulk
doesn't have
rely
a
heavily.
supporting cast on much.
Right. Except for Batman,
Like
it has a Batman family, which you
No,
could.
Fred.
Right.
Right.
I didn't Alfred.
Dick Grayson, Alfred. Well, you could kind of say though, with the Batman family, with all the sidekicks, all the different Robins, Batgirl, the other members, the Batman family, you could say he kind of has a supporting cast. Plus, you got
who are big enough to have their own comic.
Right. I mean, but you got Jim Gordon to, Gotham City.
But what makes Batman so interesting in the first place is the villains, which is the supporting cast. The supporting cast is what makes Batman interesting.
Yeah.
That's always makes Spider-Man interesting is his villains.
Well, that and his supporting cast as well, like
Mary Jane and Aunt May and
May, right?
His relationship with the Osborn family. Absolutely, totally agree with that. Black Cat. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between Batman and Spider-Man. I mean, as far as the comics go, I mean, not the characters, obviously.
Right.
Because Spider-Man does have a wide variety of villains, just like Batman has those exotic type villains, I guess you might say.
All right. How about you, Tech? You have a topic?
Well, my topic can actually kind of seed off of this topic because my topic was about related to Marvel Comics and specifically Spider-Man, but also something else going on in the Marvel Universe too. Well, you remember some years back, they erased Peter Parker's marriage to Mary Jane. They instead of having them, because they wanted Peter Parker to be single anymore, because apparently they ran out of story ideas that have to do with the married Peter Parker. They wanted a single Peter Parker that was out there dating, but they didn't want to have him get a divorce because I guess having a divorce looks bad in comics, I guess. So what looks better in comics is making a deal with the devil instead to make your marriage never happen in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
On that though, wasn't that explained? The Peter Parker wasn't the Peter Parker that married Mary Jane. He was a clone. The real Peter Parker was under the.
That was that was a whole different thing. That was the Clone Saga. And they did make it seem to be that at the time that Mary Jane actually married the clone instead of the real Peter, but it turned out that was still the real Peter, and the clone was Ben Reilly, and he died and everything. Although they did a retelling of the Clone Saga, and in the retelling, Ben Reilly actually survived at the end, so it's possible Ben Reilly could actually eventually come back. In fact, he even did, I think, during the Spider-Verse thing.
So Ben Reilly was the Scarlet Spider?
Yeah, Ben Reilly was the Scarlet Spider, and when he came in, it was established he was the clone. But then during all the twists of the story, somehow it got revealed that Peter Parker was the clone, and that basically the Spider-Man we'd been following since that first clone story in the 1970s up until the 1990s, basically for 20 years, the Spider-Man we'd been following was a clone, which is a big deal. That means for the last 20 years of Spider-Man stories, it didn't undo them or make it to where it never happened, but it means that for all these years, the real Spider-Man's actually been gone and we've been reading about a clone. And that was a big deal. And so all of a sudden you now had this guy who is he dyed his hair blonde, of course, his name's Ben Reilly, and he's now Spider-Man. But at the same time, he's actually the original Spider-Man that we knew way back in the classic days. But then fans whining and bitching about that. They undid that and made it back to where Ben Reilly was the clone and Peter Parker was the real deal. Well, then fast forward 10 years later, after Civil War and everything, Peter Parker had revealed his identity to the whole world. Aunt May gets shot because of that, because all of Spider-Man's enemies knows who he really is and all that. And so to save Aunt May's life, Peter and Mary Jane basically agree to make a deal with Mephisto to make it to where their marriage never happened. And at first, people thought that undid the last 20 years of Spider-Man history as well, since the 80s when they got married. But what it turned out is because they did finally do a retelling of the Spider-Man annual where they actually got married, and what happened was it was just one little event changed things to where Spider-Man missed the wedding. Because he got knocked unconscious fighting some bad guys. He missed the wedding, so Mary Jane was like, "I'm not going to marry you." And it's done, as long as you're Spider-Man, we can never get married. But what they did was that everything after that still happened. They were still together through everything, through the Clone Saga, everything, even up to the Civil War. They just weren't married, but they were actually still together, and everything else still happened the same way. So all it did was change a legal document that they weren't married anymore.
Gotcha.
stole that idea from Days of Our Lives.
Probably. But now I just read something with this Secret Wars storyline and everything, which is going to be apparently to be the first true reboot of the Marvel Universe. Like here lately, they've done things that kind of sort of created new beginnings for the Marvel Universe, but not really rebooted it. Well, this Secret Wars thing is apparently I don't know everything about it yet, but from what I've read, it looks like it's actually going to be a true reboot of the Marvel Universe. But during this, they've actually reestablished or undid the removal of Peter Parker and Mary Jane's marriage. So now they are married again. And what happened where it was undone is now, back in place. So they are now married, and they actually have a child or something, apparently. From, again, I don't know all the details because I haven't read it, but it's like, so all this big deal about undoing it, and then all this time, and now it's like, oh, no, let's put it back. He's married again. And it's like all this flip-flopping they do sometimes.
From Jackal.
So this reboot...
Norman Osborn took the child, or what they thought, and it turned out it was Aunt May. They never really explained what happened to the child that Mary Jane's delivered and disappeared. Except for in the Spider-Girl comics, because Spider-Girl was an alternate future. Right. So it was like, and now they're going to reboot the Marvel Universe and start it over or something in some fashion because of this new Secret Wars thing going on. So all the time that Marvel, has had the advantage where everything still continued from the original stuff and never rebooted, now it seems like they're going to go and kind of pull a DC and reboot everything for real this time.
Interesting.
So will Hulk get to keep his purple pants?
I don't know. They haven't given him purple pants in a long time, but he needs to go back to purple pants just like Superman needs his red underwear.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, so I don't know. Marvel is one of those unique universes, aside from the Ultimate, which is a completely different universe altogether, that's not rebooted ever.
Right, exactly. Although they may be merging in some fashions some elements of the Ultimate Universe into the Marvel Universe too as it reboots.
See, I don't know if I like that though. I mean, does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if I like it either because I'm the same as you. Marvel has always been the same, where it's always continued from what we know, and it had, all that continuity. Even though obviously you could tell that the Marvel Universe of today can't exactly be the same Marvel Universe of the 60s, but at the same time, it has had a continuous continuity flow from then till now. So even if the current Marvel Universe is maybe a different universe than the one from the 60s, you still can continue everything from there. There's no, all of a sudden, sometimes they may have changed, rewrote a little something here and there to modernize it, but basically, essentially everything, stayed the same and seamlessly continued from then till now. Which is one of the things I always liked about Marvel. I always loved that continuity. I always liked that, the storylines, especially when I first got into Marvel in the 80s and stuff. True, I was a kid, first time getting into the comics, and hadn't read the previous stuff. And even though everything was built on the past, I didn't have any trouble, getting into it and catching up and learning what was going on, because they always flashbacked or explained things real easily back then and everything.
Right.
It made it easy to figure out, pretty much catch up quick on what was going on and everything. But now it's So now it's are they really going to do away with all that history and start over from the beginning with everything? And how that, and again, like you said, it's never been done with Marvel before.
Marvel has never done a reboot, and in my opinion, if they are going to reboot Marvel, they should. If they want to reboot Marvel, what they should do is reboot it. If they want to modernize it, redraw it, but still tell the original stories, or have the original cast. Everything happens exactly the same way, just a more modernized look, a little modernized speech in the dialogue or whatever.
Right,
that seems more appealing to me than just, let's just erase the past 5 years, not the entire thing, or something like that, because that just confuses the reader, in my opinion. I mean, and I think I lost Tech Gladiator again. No! Hopefully we can get him back. Let's try real quick to get him back. We'll try really quick. Please. And let's see if he answers here in just a second. But that's my opinions on that, guys. Is I just don't think I'm not seeing a reboot. I'm thinking no reboot of the past 5 years. If you're going to do a reboot, do the entire from the very beginning. Don't forget to switch your mic back over, Tech.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Damn freaking Skype.
Yep. But do you understand? You were getting ready to say something before you got disconnected? I think you were getting ready to add on to what I was saying. Start from the beginning, not just erase the past 5 years.
Right, or that's what they're looks like they might be doing, is starting from the beginning. I mean, it's hard to say, whether or not it's truly going to, because even with the new 52, even though they rebooted everything, they still set it 5 years into everything going on. The character's been around for 5 years. They did kind of in Action Comics would start from the beginning with Superman, but in Superman it was 5 years ahead. So that kind of was confusing too.
Did they do that with Marvel a few years ago, and they unmasked Peter Parker, then the whole world knew who he was, and turn around and go back around. Well, we're just going to undo that.
Well, see, that went along with the undoing of the wedding, the same event that erased the wedding. Doctor Strange and Mr. Fantastic were involved, and they helped the whole world to forget who Peter Parker, who Spider-Man really was, basically.
How about you, Jason? You got any thoughts on the Marvel supposed reboot? I mean,
I think they're trying to. They see some success from what DC's done, and they're trying to capitalize on it, just in a different way.
Yeah, I would agree, probably.
Looks like even with Wally West's Flash, he got married, had kids, they had the storyline for a short time, then they brought back in Barry Allen, kind of kicked Wally off to his side, gave him less powers, and they even went as far as back turning from Jesse Quick to Liberty Bell back to Jesse Quick, then getting rid of all of them. Then out comes a new 52, and Barry Allen only, and they pretty much got rid of the rest, Wally West and his family.
Now, in the cinematic universe, Marvel's kicking the crap out of DC, pretty much. DC has television universe, but overall film universe, it's all about Marvel right now. What's going on in I've not read comics in a long time. I've not purchased comics. I don't pick up the Wizard anymore. The Wizard, magazine that tells you, all the great news and stuff. Which on paper, or even in a digital download, is DC really outdoing Marvel right now?
I think they're doing about the same.
To be honest, I haven't read anything in the last couple of years. But a few years ago, I read some stuff from a few, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the stories 3 or 4 years ago, reading both Marvel and DC at the time, I found the DC stories to be more sophisticated and better storytelling, really, than what the Marvel comics of the time were.
Right, but I'm talking about consumer as a whole, because when we think of Marvel, we think of more breakout characters than DC. DC, there's the big three. You got Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, and then of course the Justice League of America falls into that. I mean, but when like over on the Marvel side, you've got the Incredible Hulk, you've got the Avengers, you've got the X-Men, you've got Wolverine solo issue series, whatever. You've got, you know what I mean? It just seems like there's more books on the Marvel side that are, quote, last time I was reading Marvel books, there was more books and more breakout characters than DC had.
I mean, when you going back to what you said about the Marvel kicking crap out of DC movies, Marvel's also had a lot of flop movies too.
That is true. I totally agree with that. Ghost Rider, and Daredevil, just to name a couple, both Fantastic Four movies were considered flops. Yeah.
And I really think the new Fantastic Four will be a flop.
And probably will, yeah.
Sad to say, because I actually like the Fantastic Four myself, so I think the best thing.
Wasn't bad, but I mean, financially, they were just flops.
I think they'll make a good Fantastic Four movie when we get to see a Thing versus Hulk movie.
Anything versus Hulk would be a good movie. I want to see a Wolverine versus Hulk movie.
Yeah,
make it happen.
Yeah, Thor versus Hulk. Wolverine. We're gonna see Iron Man at least Iron Man. I'm hoping there'll be more. I'm hoping we'll get to see some Thor versus Hulk action too. But we know in the new Avengers movie we're at least gonna have a battle between Iron Man and the Hulk in it, which will be really cool. And hey, with Spider-Man coming into the Marvel Comics universe, I mean, yeah, maybe Hulk way outclasses Spider-Man
like
in power.
At all.
I've enjoyed Hulk and Spider-Man together in comics, though. I'd like to see them in the movie.
I'm sorry, Jason, you don't like what I did at all?
Well, what I was going to say is that in the comics, yeah, Hulk versus Hulk and Spider-Man work awesome. In the movies, they've already, what are you going to do? Dig out another actor? Hopefully everybody likes this actor as Spider-Man, then throw him in the Avengers movie, and hopefully it clicks well. I mean, we don't even have Spider-Man yet.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it actually does turn out, because Spider-Man's going to get introduced in the MCU universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in Captain America: Civil War. That'll be the first introduction of Spider-Man in the MCU universe.
I mean, Sony's doing a great job of getting probably the greatest Marvel character.
That's another thing too. Is with Spider-Man coming over to the Marvel universe, is this going to be an older Peter Parker that like in the original Civil War?
It's from what I've seen or read, it looks like the Civil War Spider-Man will be older, and then when they do the standalone Spider-Man movie that actually introduces him into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's going to be younger.
Now that's just going to confuse people unless you're going to recast the entire Avengers team, though, for future Avengers films, because now you're going to have two Spider-Mans.
I mean, that's what I've heard. That seems to be, that may be a rumor, though. I don't know how true that is.
Okay.
I mean,
they definitely don't need to do the origin again.
Spider-Man in their movie at all, anyway.
Right. All right.
It's nice to have them, but
Jason's not really supportive of Spider-Man being in the Avengers.
No, and I have no reason to be supportive. I think they're pushing too much when they got a good thing going, and I think they're taking a big chance at failure happening.
I'm so supportive of this. Matter of fact, I'm supportive of the entire Marvel universe being under one banner and having, if they want to license out the characters for the X-Men, whatever they want to do, and just bring it all under one big Marvel, like I can put whatever characters I want in certain, and just tell good stories.
Having Spider-Man franchise started failed. Well, it didn't fail, but
see, the problem is this is all Sony's got is Spider-Man. That's all they have, and they want to, instead of trying to do as much with Spider-Man as they possibly can, which is constantly rebooting so far, or how many movies can we cram into, how many villains can we cram into one freaking movie, and then how many spin-offs can we do with Sinister Six, and let's do an Aunt May get her own movie. I mean, seriously, this is all Sony has, and they can make more money by licensing the character out to Marvel, who can tell a unique story with other characters in it that's very interesting. And, I wish Fox would do the same thing by bringing some of their characters that they own and license them out to not necessarily give them to them completely, but license them out to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm looking forward. All I can say is I'm looking forward to the 2-part Infinity War movie, because that's going to be like the cosmic event, like we've seen in the comics, where like you see all the heroes, the Avengers and the other heroes and stuff getting together to face this awesome, epic, cosmic threat and everything.
I think that'd be awesome.
Because you're going to have the Guardians of the Galaxy in that and everything too.
Tobey Maguire.
What was that, Jason?
If they would have started off with this with a Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield being Spider-Man, I'd have no problem.
I've heard rumors that they may try to get Tobey Maguire back as Spider-Man for it. That's rumors, though. Don't know.
Right. We don't know who's going to be in the Spider-Man role yet. We do know it's not going to be Andrew Garfield or whatever his name is. I think
Andrew.
It right.
Yeah, you said it right.
If they brought Tobey Maguire back, I think I can handle that. Bringing in another kid, come on. It's just going to be some dude in a Spider-Man outfit to me.
Well, what we got to do is separate what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing with whatever Sony has done in the past. Like Sony's, whatever they've done in the past, it doesn't matter. We're telling a good story with a serialized character with Spider-Man, because they did it really well with the Hulk. Why can't they do it with Spider-Man? You had Edward Norton play the Hulk. Who was the other guy that played the Hulk in the first Hulk movie?
Eric
Bana, Mark Ruffalo.
So yeah, everything that's a serialized character, they can do the same thing with Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. Sorry, he's going to eventually be too old or not able to do the role. They're going to bring somebody else in to play that part.
Oh, he's already made comments that he's looking to have himself replaced.
There you go. So,
what's his name that's playing Captain America has talked about eventually stepping down from that role too.
I don't think it matters what actor's playing the role at this point, as long as they're telling a good story.
Oh, I think the actors have a big deal change with in some ways. After a while, you start falling for the actor, and I don't know. But in other ways, it's always done well for Batman, having another Batman in there, or even James Bond. So we'll see, I guess.
And as far as, now that you brought Batman into the mix, I do have to say, I really want to see the Batman versus Superman. I'm afraid, though, with them trying to rush and also introduce the Justice League into the same movie.
They're putting too much in the same movie like they did with Spider-Man 2.
Because I think Batman versus
Spider-Man and Marvel is rushing it and adding too much into it, too.
But
you got to remember that.
Possible. But Spider-Man was part of the Civil War storyline. And it's supposed to be an older Spider-Man, not like a kid. It's supposed to be an older Spider-Man in the Civil War. Just like Peter Parker was an adult, full grown. He wasn't a kid anymore in the Civil War comic storyline.
I'm excited for this Batman v Superman movie to come out, simply because I'm anxious to see a standalone Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Well, that, and just the idea of, I don't think they need to rush the Justice League into it, because I think people are going to love just seeing Batman and Superman together, and then the Justice League after that.
How many good just Batman Superman stories are there in the comic universe and in the DC animated universe without the rest of the Justice League?
Right. I don't think they needed to do that. I think they would have been fine just with I think they would have a hit just with Batman versus Superman. and then have other movies that lead up into the Justice League instead of trying to rush it and directly go into one.
Well, people on Batman, Superman are going to be more of a cameo guest spots where they'll probably have a short little storyline in the movie, but it'll mostly be Batman, Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that wouldn't be too bad. You know, I mean, especially if it's mostly at the end, I guess that wouldn't really be horrible. I am confused because I know they're supposed to also be coming out with a Flash movie that's not going to have anything to do with the Flash TV series, from what I understand anyway.
Yeah, they talked about, trying to think of the actor's name. He was in Wallflower with the girl that played as Hermione out of Harry Potter. They talked about one of the main kids off that being in there, and I just didn't see him being Flash.
That irritates me so bad too, guys. It really, really does. That DC's live-action television universe is amazing. You've had Smallville, you've had the Arrow, you've got the Flash, and it's just so good. Why would you not want to include that in your cinematic universe? Why do you just want to exclude it like it's not even there? People will go see it. It won't look like a made-for-television movie on the big screen once it's there if you put the production value into it. These are good actors that are in these television roles. Give them a chance to shine on the big screen.
Look at the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Bringing in Smallville Superboy into a Superman role. They wanted Brandon Routh.
But like Tech's getting ready to say, look at the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series.
It's tied into the movies with the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
That is a good. I do like the S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of Carter and that S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series. I do like those. Those surprise me on how well they're doing.
And they're tied into the movies. So that shows right there that you can do TV shows that tie into the movies. So DC should be able to tie, like, the Flash TV series into a Justice League movie. And
exactly.
And anybody else other than Steve playing Arrow.
Here's the thing. It's kind of like Star Trek or whatever. When a television series goes on to do a movie, see, a television series is a serialized day-to-day type of storytelling or week-to-week type of storytelling that tells an ongoing story arc over a long period of time. But that doesn't mean there's individual stories that can't be blown up for the motion picture audience. Like a small Flash story that's a piece of this, one day out of the serialization, but blow that up and make a film out of it. That would be awesome.
And like you said, you referenced Star Trek because Star Trek TV shows and movies are all tied together.
Exactly.
Reboot movies still acknowledge the existence of what came before. It's just a new timeline that's created.
Absolutely.
But it started from the old timeline, from old Spock coming into that timeline.
Absolutely.
Even having the TV series Flash and Arrow pop in for a quick second in a fight scene, save some people or do whatever, then, well, we got to head back by. I think right there, the audiences would be just happy just to see that part.
Yeah, just to show it, even if it's just an acknowledgement. Like in the TV show of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and even Agent Carter, they reference the movies, but they don't just focus on the movies and they tell their own story, but you have that.
Oh, no! I hate this desktop app for tech. Please don't be leaving. I think we lost him. Oh, brother. Unfortunately, I think we lost Tech Gladiator again. We'll try to get him back as soon as we can. Just sit tight, folks. It'll all be okay. I wish he was on the Metro app. Hey, there we go. Oh, Tech.
Yeah.
Damn Skype. Frickin' Skype.
I know, right?
After this show's over, I'm going to update Skype. I'm hoping the update fixes. Maybe they were aware of these crashes, and hopefully the update fixes it.
Hope so.
And you recently had Lady Sif on there from the Thor movie series.
Yeah.
There you go.
They had Agent Carter. They had Howard Stark from the Captain America movie.
Nice.
Showed scenes from the Captain America movie in some of the episodes.
Wow.
And they've had Howling Commandos on
Yeah.
Agent Carter.
Yeah, the Howling Commandos from the first Captain America movie as well. Yep.
See, I think
in there.
I think
And it's some actors too that plays her that played her in the movie too. So it was no problem getting the people from the movies onto TV. Whereas normally, like you think of, it almost seems like when you look historically at TV and movies too, it's like TV is like considered second-class citizens actors as compared to movies.
I don't believe in that.
Movie, you're just in a TV show. You know?
Dude, I honestly believe that if they did, if DC did their cinematic universe like Star Trek did, where they carried over the same actors and the same people from the television series and just told bigger scaled stories when they got to the big screen, I'm okay with that. I think it would be perfect, and it's completely different from what Marvel is doing.
Right.
And it's not as confusing either.
Right. But anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on that. Do you guys have any more?
Nah, I think that's pretty much.
Let me ask you, like years ago, we're watching Smallville. Then you have Superman Returns coming on, and you know, for the people who are not comic fans but who like the movies and like the shows, it just gets a little confusing.
Yeah, because it wasn't the Superman Returns out from Smallville. It was Superman Returns from Christopher Reeve's way back in the day Superman.
Yeah.
And then you get Man of Steel, which is a reboot.
Interesting about Brandon Routh.
And then Tom Welling actually wears the costume from Superman Returns, though, in the final episode of Smallville.
Yeah, it's just so confusing. Anyway, and then you had Lois and Clark. Don't forget that, too. I mean, that's a another thing.
I was watching, you remember the TV series Chuck?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
We were actually talking about that earlier tonight, actually. It's pretty fun.
Brandon Routh was on there, who once was Superman. You got Kristen Carrick from Smallville, who used to be Lana Lane in there. Then the guy who played as Chuck's brother-in-law, Captain Awesome, actually tried out for the role of Superman. Then you have Nisa, or Ra's al Ghul's daughter, was in Chuck previous to being in Arrow.
You know what?
Brandon Routh is in Arrow, too.
There might have been a time where television acting was considered B-rate to cinematics, but I don't think that holds up anymore. I really, really don't. I think it's still possible to get typecast.
Daytime soaps as being at lower rate of acting. You know, a lot of these movie actors you have now started on daytime soaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's exactly it, man. I say give the television people a chance and let them do a film.
Television production values have greatly increased.
That's another thing, too, yeah.
From what they used to be.
Yeah, they're just as competitive now, probably more now than what they were 10 years ago.
I mean, we look at
TV and everything, you know.
Let's put comic books aside for a second. Look at The Walking Dead. I mean, that's one of the biggest.
Still comic book related.
Yeah, okay. But I'm just saying that. Look how big the production value of it is. I mean, it's the number one thing watched on TV. I wouldn't be surprised if later on down the road we don't see a Walking Dead movie.
Maybe they did that with X-Files.
Talking about a Walking Dead spinoff.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, that's supposed to be in the works.
It'll take place in Los Angeles, I believe.
It's supposed to start off as a prequel, but eventually coincide or something with it. And from what I understand, anyway.
Are you guys ready for the final topic?
Yeah, now that it's almost time for the show to end. But yeah,
we started a little late. We still got some time to talk and go around the table.
We're only like 48 Well, according to my preview, we're only 48 minutes in.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're ready for the final topic, Stan. I've been waiting for this one since you mentioned it earlier.
All right. So apparently at GDC, which is a big gaming conference, Nintendo announced that they are going to start releasing their first party IPs on iOS and Android devices, which means Mario, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, anything that's Nintendo will now be published on iOS and Android. And developing these games is a company called DNA. And of course, that makes sense because now we know that younger kids that are coming up, the new generation, they are totally 100% these devices, not so much console gamers or anything else. And we know that they need to pull something together because the Wii U is, let's face it, it's sold under 10 million units. It's a flop. It's been out for a few years now. On to that, they've got rid of Club Nintendo. Well, they now have announced probably a new piece of hardware with the same announcement, which is important because that says, yes, we're still releasing these Nintendo games and IPs on other devices, but we're still in the hardware business. We're still going to make new hardware. So I think that was important for them to make this announcement too, and they announced the Nintendo Project NX. We don't know what NX stands for. We could only safe to assume that the next Nintendo might be called Nintendo Next. We don't know. What we do know is that they have mentioned that it's in R&D right now, and that they will make future announcements on it later. What I'm thinking is probably next year there'll be an official prototype that we'll see, and then probably another year or two we'll actually see it arrive on store shelves, which will be perfectly fine because we've seen consoles that's had 5-year shelf life before, or 6-year shelf life. I hate that it happened to the Wii U, but unfortunately we still need Nintendo in the hardware business because we can't let Sony and Microsoft just drive up the prices on everything. So I was wondering what you guys think about Nintendo's announcements. What do you think about being able to play a Mario game possibly on your iOS or Android device? And what do you guys think about the announcement of a new hardware device from Nintendo? Even though, the Wii U, in spite of the Wii U floundering, is it too soon are we giving up on the Wii U too quickly? Should we have done this ages ago? Do you see Nintendo still making devices in the future, or going totally as a third-party publisher for other devices? What do you guys think?
I actually thought the Wii U was a joke at first. I just kind of thought it was an extension to the Wii, and that they were just going to have that as a, just a little side thing until they actually have a real console out.
Right, I thought it was a peripheral. I thought it was just the tablet, and it goes with the Wii. But that was poor marketing on their behalf.
Like that 90s version of Wii 3D game thing, where we're just going to put it out there. We don't expect people to really buy it. But, if you want to, cool. If not, hey, whatever.
Well, with another thing too that I'm thinking about is they got rid of the Club Nintendo thing, which was digital content on Wii, 3DS, and all that other stuff. Now we know that Nintendo does mobile really, really well, but they're not going to sell another 3DS. It's just not going to happen. So I'm wondering is if with them moving to mobile, does this introduce something in place of Club Nintendo, where you're having the Android games somehow, or the iOS games somehow work in combination with the console game, and there's a communication process going on?
Oh, there are more people who buy, kids nowadays who worry more about cell phones than they worry about their Game Boy type handheld games, so it makes sense to move everything to Android and whatnot, smartphones and everything.
And we got to think that That brings up another good point too, Jason. Is that Nintendo is a Japanese company, and in Japan, everybody games on their phones and tablets. Take your
I know. As an iPad owner, I'd love to be able to play Mario on an iPad. Mario and Zelda. In fact, I'd probably more likely play them on that than maybe even on a console.
I would like to see him get a console so I can actually produce more games fluently instead of having to wait for the next console to come out to play Legend of Zelda.
Well, one of the things I'm worried about is Nintendo becoming the next Sega, to where Sega only develop software now for PlayStation and Xbox and iOS and Nintendo and whatnot. I don't want Legend of Zelda on my PlayStation 4. I'm kind of worried about that or on Xbox or whatever. I want Nintendo to survive and be a substantial piece of hardware because, like I said, it's vital to have competition and not let these two guys.
That would be like DC publishing Hulk comics. Like all of a sudden, Hulk
exactly.
jumps DC. It'd be like, what the fluff? And now Hulk joins the Justice League, you know, or Spider-Man or any character like, you know, jump from one.
Comics now presenting the Avengers,
right?
Spawn, and Savage Dragon.
Well, this was really, really big news this week. I was just wanting to know what your guys' opinions were. I
think it's cool though to be on iOS and Android. I mean, that is pretty cool. But I also agree that Nintendo should keep making hardware. I mean, yeah, I haven't. Well, actually, I can't say we haven't bought any of the Wii's because my youngest son has a Wii, but we, didn't get a Wii U, and I've not personally had a big interest in the Wii or the Wii U per se. And the last Nintendo console I got was the Nintendo 64. But I still think Nintendo needs to be out there. Definitely. As a competition, it'd be nice to see it become more advanced, to become as advanced as like Xbox and PlayStation, so that it can play a lot of the same AAA titles on it that play on those, because that might actually help Nintendo too, not just having just their own first line.
Hopefully this new hardware is powerful enough to bring in some third-party support that has given up on Nintendo, because if we remember, one of the big things too with the Nintendo 64 you were talking about is a lot of back then a lot of third-party companies gave up because Nintendo continued to use cartridges when CD-ROM and DVD-ROMs is where it was at. So absolutely.
Right.
So Nintendo stopped the idea, like by plugging my Wii right now, I could not download Mask and Majora, or Majora's Mask.
On your Wii U? Yeah, you can still download it.
Oh, you can still do it. Well, I have, like, on the Wii, I have a few games I downloaded.
Yeah, that service is still working, yeah.
There was
on the old Wii or the original Wii,
remastering the Mask and Majora's Mask.
They are remastering Majora's Mask, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they didn't really remaster. I thought Ocarina of Time would have been remastered too.
Ocarina of Time already got a remaster from the Nintendo 64 to the GameCube. They did that on the GameCube, and you can actually download it on your Wii U. You need to look for Ocarina of Time, the Master Quest.
I'd like to have both of them where I can play them on a great big screen.
There you go.
Yeah, which probably a console would probably be best for that then, for it to hook up to your big screen TV.
It's nice to, if you're on camping trips, to have your tablet and play some Zelda, but if you're old like us and just want to sit on your ass and watch on a great big huge screen and see every little pixel, it'd be nice to be able to have that option.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Instead of, at the most, I don't know. I know nothing about the Wii U, but can you plug it into your TV?
Yes.
But the game controller is still your
You
pad.
can either use that big controller tablet looking thing and just use it and not even have the TV, or you can play it to the TV and use the tablet as a second screen for other stuff.
That's one thing. I mean, I like the Wii, and I like the part where you get to get off your butt and do something, but at the same time, I get kind of bored of playing ping pong, and
Comes
I want
across as a gimmick.
an actual game. And playing some games with the wand and the other little stick just was not that fun.
Yeah, it was a gimmick. Totally, especially one that it was a gimmick that can be exploited. Yeah, absolutely. Tech? Anything?
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with what you guys have said. I don't really think I have anything to add any different because you guys pretty much summed it up.
Cute.
I'm just excited to see that Nintendo is taking action now. That way we still have Mario 20 years from now. And that it's Nintendo owned. They're not having to sell it off. Because we look at like Atari, who actually brought video games to the living room. Where are they now? Part of Bandai. You know what I mean? Or we look at Sega, who was really a powerhouse in the 90s. What are they doing now? You know, it's not much. So
I think if
you can buy a lot of those games at the local dollar store for $20 and a
Right.
But even like ColecoVision and all these companies are gone now, man. They're just gone.
Right. I think if Nintendo stopped doing hardware, I think that would probably, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I think that would be kind of the start of the decline of the consoles, really. Because I think Nintendo saved console gaming in the first place in the 80s. And even though whether or not you may be a big Nintendo gamer or not, I don't really currently, game on Nintendo. I don't hate Nintendo or nothing like that. I just don't have a Wii.
Oh no, I hate it. Your desktop app is fired, Tech. It's just fired, buddy. We'll get him back in just a second. Hopefully he calls right back. But I'm pretty sure that's probably going to conclude the podcast episode. Let's see if he comes back one more time. Let's see. If not, we'll go ahead and end it. We're going to see. There it is. There it is. Yes, sir.
Yeah, freaking Skype.
Freaking Skype.
I think if Nintendo would actually come out with a competitive system with the Xbox One and the PS4, drop the price to about $200, start selling their games for about $40 a piece, I think PlayStation and Xbox would probably literally shit themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They would, but Nintendo would lose a lot of money.
Panic mode. If you are, like I said, a competitive system where it can go on Twitch, it can do all the fancy little things, downloads, this, that.
But better graphics.
Because that's where most of these go to anyways. And if you put it $200, more people are going to buy it, more people are going to want it.
My thing with Nintendo, it's not how powerful it is. It's not really how much powerful it is. Like, the Wii U is as powerful as a PlayStation. It's a little bit more powerful than the PlayStation 3, which I'm fine with that. Nintendo can do some fantastic things with that piece of hardware, especially with first priority or first party stuff. My thing is the gimmicky stuff. Quit doing that, Nintendo. Just give me the box and a controller. I mean, that pad is like the Kinect 2.0, whatever you want to call it, which they said couldn't be taken out of the box. Yeah, it could. We could throw it across the room. Give me just the console and a Pro controller, and that's it. I'm done. That's what I want. If I want to get the pad, sell it separately. Advertise it to me separately. Get away from the gimmick stuff. Get back to normal controls and a normal box. TV.
2.0 with, obviously where you can put disc-based games in there, movies, Blu-ray, whatever you want. I'm just competitive. It doesn't have to be better than the other two. It just has to work just as fine as the other two.
Right, absolutely. I guess being better than the last gen is, I guess, okay. It might be better if it was more up to the level, and it doesn't. Again, yeah, like Jason said, it doesn't have to be better, but maybe should be more on par with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Maybe not. Maybe the graphics don't necessarily have to be on par, but as far as all the other features.
One of the problems is whereas Sony and Microsoft went off to this computer-style architecture, Nintendo is still doing their proprietary stuff to where it's harder to develop for. Or, why should the developer care to develop for it if that's the only place that is using that architecture, and they sold under 10 million consoles in their 3-year lifespan so far?
Even if it's under 10 million, that's still millions of people that bought it, though.
I know, but you got to think PlayStation 4 sold over 20 million. Think of how many PC games are out there. Think of how many Xboxes are out there. And this is just the second year, starting the second year.
Right.
So if I've got 50 million people over here gaming, why should I worry about this under 10 million little market? You know what I mean?
True. Good point. So maybe Nintendo's next system, maybe they'll be smart and go switch to the kind of a PC type architecture too. In which case, it'd be so much easier for everybody to develop, and bam, then they'll have, like Jason's saying, where they can do the same sort of stuff.
With them going, putting first-party stuff on Android and iOS, another thing I'm worried about too is this new console going to be an Android iOS type console? Something I worry about, because you know how Nintendo likes to go after that casual gamer market.
That's true.
Nintendo to where, like, say you buy the new Call of Duty game. And, when you get the Call of Duty game for PlayStation or Xbox, you're going to have pretty much the same experience. Now, when PlayStation came out their Black Ops Call of Duty thing, it was not quite or when Nintendo came out with it, it wasn't quite the same experience.
Yeah, I guess they did have some Call of Duty games on Nintendo, but yeah, I don't know if they were quite on par with the PlayStation.
The Wii U Black Ops 2 was way better than any other version. The problem was there was nobody online playing it.
Yeah.
4 kids.
4 kids.
4 kids. The same 4 kids in every match.
Right.
Kids out there whose parents still thought Nintendo was worth it.
So.
No.
Anyway, guys.
So they actually did say that the Wii U version of Black Ops 2 was better than any other version?
Oh, yeah. It was stronger. The Wii U was stronger than the PS3. It looked better. It ran smoother. It was 60 frames per second. Now, granted, we're talking about a last generation game.
Right, because Black Ops 2 was last gen. It didn't have a next gen version.
But the problem is their install base when it came out was so small, there really wasn't enough people to justify having an online system for it.
Right.
At the time.
And for my friends,
Probably have an easier time getting in a Call of Duty 4 match than on the Black Ops 2 match on the Wii U.
Right.
What was that, Jason?
But I still feel bad for my friend's nephew who got Sega Saturn for Christmas one year, got about 5 games, and Saturn was never heard from again.
Right.
Poor Saturn.
Saturn.
Should have waited for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that would have really helped him too. The only kid with the Dreamcast.
It was just a couple of years away. Why can't you just wait?
Yeah, but the Dreamcast went too. What, it lasted for like a year?
It released in, yeah, I think it released in late 98, like holiday season 98, and went all the way to holiday season 2000. So about
Like,
2 years. 2 years, yeah.
That Atari Jaguar lasted like a year or two.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's what happened.
And they actually named their console Jaguar.
Atari Jaguar, yeah.
Atari Jaguar.
It had an
I seem to remember that.
controller thing where each game had a different face you put on a controller or something on that. I don't remember. I remember playing it once at work. I was playing Predator versus Aliens.
I don't know why they thought that.
Playing it.
I don't know why they thought that the dial pad from the old Atari systems was still necessary on the Atari Jaguar. It was a mess. It was. But anyway, guys, I think that's all the time we got. Any final thoughts?
I wish Skype would quit being a POS
Like that?
and crashing. But I think we had some good topics tonight.
Awesome. Jason?
No, I think everything is awesome.
Cool beans. All right, that's going to do it for us, guys. Remember, you can check out more episodes like this. Check out the Film Gurus, which is a new thing, another series that we're doing. Jason, you going to be working with me on that tomorrow for RoboCop?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually have thoughts on it.
All right, cool. And so that's going to do it for us for now. Remember, go to intrepidgurus.com to find a list of all of our favorite Twitch streamers, reviews, podcasts, more episodes like this, a lot of other content all over at intrepidgurus.com. Until next time, guys, thanks and have a good one. Bye.
Oh.
Some beach.